All right, so mainstream media like radio and TV previously enjoyed some form of control over news and information dissemination, but that dominance seems to be waning. Indeed, it has waned. Increasingly, people are getting different access to news and information without necessarily relying solely on TV and radio. On the occasion of World Radio Day, on the theme Radio is Joy, or Radio is You, Joy News Maxwell Agbagba has been probing how some people access news and how some of the new methods pose competition to the traditional media or the traditional mediums of disseminating information like radio and TV.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Joy Midday News.
An important aspect of radio broadcasting journey in Ghana was an attempt to break the state broadcasters' monopoly. That led to the establishment of a radio station called Radio I, owned by Dr. Charles Rekubrobe in the 90s. Media pluralism and the emergence of technology means stiffer competition for traditional media like radio, be it online, social media. The news is everywhere. This means that consumers are now spoiled for choice. But in all of these, there are some persons who have remained loyal to radio. Ali Dubaba is one of them. He has been a security man for more than a decade. Ali tells me his job as a security man has compelled him to resort to radio as his only source of news. Here in his little office at the Mamobi Government Hospital, his radio finds space on the wooden table, which also has some foolscap notebooks.
Sometimes if you are at night duty and you have a radio by you, it keeps you awake. You will not sleep deep. Even if you doze off, you hear, then you come back to your decision. And then you listen to news, to what is happening around, especially Ghana, you hear. For instance, at the hospital here, you have people coming in and out, they'll be asking you questions. So you won't even get time to read paper or look TV. Yeah, you will concentrate. Some of them will ask you for directions. Maybe the fellow is going to maternity, to lab, administration. You have to direct them. And as far as, apart from that, you have to be watching other things too. They mix up, other criminals mix up with them and come. Somebody might come here as if he's sick or, no. They are coming, the purpose is still to Christian. So you identify people and then you work them out as well.
Unlike Ali Dubaba, 22-year-old Aurelia Atipu, a final-year computer science student of the University of Ghana, does not have the luxury of time to listen to radio. She spends the best part of her day in class. She can't afford to tune in when her lecturer is in class. She, however, resorts to other mediums like social media and online.
My information comes from online because as a student, busy schedules like class schedules and all that. So it's very, very difficult for you to listen to the radio like every single time because we are always thinking about like the next app we are going to create and things like that, your project work. You can't really be listening to radio. But what you can do is you can read online. I think that's what the radio stations and other like TV owners can do is that they could create their apps and then also use their social media platforms to get more people informed about certain things in society. It's faster to get information on social media than the radio, and I always get my news on social media before I even hear it on radio or TV.
Aurelia and three of her colleagues in December represented the University of Ghana at the World Universities Debate Championship in the Netherlands. She tells me the team had to solely depend on online news for their preparations.
The one we relied on for the World Universities Debating Championship was online information because we had a very busy schedule and we couldn't always like listen to radio. So you go onto Facebook, go to specific pages, get the information you need. I read about like 6 to 7 articles every single day just to keep myself informed about what's going on in the world. So if in a day I don't get to listen to the radio, I'm still sure that I have information about what's going on in the world.
So the emergence of social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter have made the accessibility of news via non-traditional media easier. You don't necessarily have to type the web address on your computer to get information. The news appears on your Facebook and Twitter timelines. The link is also shared by friends on WhatsApp. Professor Obigajiku believes social media delivers news with the speed of light. Mainstream media, she says, will not be able to catch up with that speed of information dissemination.
I think it's important for traditional media to recognize that they're not going to be able to compete in terms of speed with social media, but they are absolutely essential in terms of credibility. In certain sense it is. It's challenging traditional media to do things differently. You're absolutely right. Social media breaks it. Social media is about speed. Traditional media, I think, should remember, but they are about credibility. They must verify. So we may hear something on social media, but we look to traditional media to confirm that is true or false. So it becomes very disappointing when traditional media, in their rush to compete with social media, put out news and information that may not be true in a lot of radio stations, in a lot of media. The challenge is social media, where anybody, any citizen can exchange news and information, and there's no control in social media. There's a lot of anonymity when it comes to social media, and so there's a lot of fake news.
But if you can't beat them, join them.
Well, tell us what people are saying. I hope you're talking about your jacket on Facebook and other social media.
Hubert Osei-Welbeck, all the way in the UK, say absolutely silly, nauseating, and academically nonsense. If you say corruption is not at a tipping point in Ghana.
Okay, so that's what you're saying on social media. Thanks.
Media houses are aware of the power social media and the non-traditional media wield in the business of news. A lot of them have now included social media segments in their news, giving more meaning to the theme for the 2017 World Radio Day, Radio is You.
Well, tell us what people are saying. I hope you're talking about your jacket on Facebook and...
Well, sometime we thought radio and the other handsets and their portability was a way to go. But which one is more portable than social media? There'll come a point in time when I believe you wouldn't even need to buy a TV set. I'm sure just a small device will just flip something on your screen somewhere virtually and you can watch TV or something of the sort. At some point, I'm sure those of us who do studio work, etc., would be no more at some point in time. But we haven't gotten there yet. This is where we've got into, where the subject of epilepsy is a huge issue for many parents, but also many healthcare professionals. And as a society, how do we delve into the subject? And how do we make sure we bring out the issues lively to you? And that is what Mama View Oswabachi is doing this morning. And she is currently at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and at the Epilepsy Center. She's going to be speaking to Dr. Albert Akpalu, who is the head of the neurology unit of the Department of Medicine, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And Mamavi Oswabaji is ready now to give us the latest update from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. It's not as if she's a victim, not at all. I haven't witnessed that on the show. But she just wants to get the best insight into the subject of epilepsy. Mamavi, how are you? How's it going so far?
I am well, Roland. You should have been here.
Yeah, I say you speaking passionately about Kolebu, etc. I know that this is close to your heart.
I think that in 2017 we should adopt Kolebu as a subject matter. So we discuss it 5 minutes every day, every weekday on our show. It's really very important. But let's get down to discussing the issue, the reason we're here. And we're told that epilepsy is the most common neurological condition that's affecting a good number of people here in Ghana. So this conversation is definitely appropriate as the world observes Epilepsy Day today. Joining us for a conversation and making available one of their busy clinics to us here on the AM show is Dr. Albert Akpalu, who is head of neurology units, Department of Medicine here at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He's also secretary of the Epilepsy Society of Ghana. So good morning to you.
Thank you very much for joining us for our clinic.
It's a pleasure, and I know that you are super busy, so to make time for this means a lot to us.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to improve the information, because the theme for this year's celebration is putting epilepsy in the picture. So I'm happy to be on Joy News Morning Show, and then to share the information about
Definitely, definitely. So tell us, when you take the entire population, how many people would you say have epilepsy?
Well, our prevalence figures are about 1% of the 1 to 2%. So with our population of 25 million, that should give us about an average of just about 250,000 people plus people living with epilepsy.
Okay.
So this year we want to change the term, so we don't say epileptic anymore.
Okay.
So epileptic has stigma connoted to it. It's a derogatory term, so we use persons with epilepsy or persons living with epilepsy.
Okay. All right. And I see that you gave us a treat, myself and my entire crew, when we walked in here this morning, because we had to check our blood pressure and our sugar level. Yes. How serious is that? I mean, what does that mean? Is this something that everybody must do?
Yes, something everybody must do. So non-communicable diseases, of which epilepsy is part of, it's a double burden. We have HIV, malaria, TB, and we have hypertension, diabetes, epilepsy, and cancer. So one of the easiest ways is screening. Each time you come into the hospital for any event, come to visit someone for a clinic, you need to check your blood pressure and your blood sugar. That will help stop lots of strokes, and strokes also lead to epilepsy. So that's where I did the conundrum form. So everyone must have their blood sugars and blood pressure checked.
Okay.
Anytime they come to your hospital, they must demand it.
Okay. So for everybody watching, what are the basic explanations? What is epilepsy, for instance?
So epilepsy has been connoted in so many mystical and spiritual forms, but basically epilepsy is a tendency for you to have a seizure. So a seizure is when you lose consciousness, when one part of the body jerks or you fall down. The most people understand is when, if you've seen a seizure before, you fall down and then you start jerking and they foam from their mouth and they urinate or defecate on themselves. That's the extreme. We call that generalized seizures. Then we have the focal, where can be just one hand will be jerking, or a child will be just absent-minded in class, or just some lip smacking, or just one side of your body jerking. That's all. You still you don't lose consciousness. So that's what we call a focal seizure. Okay. So those are the two types. So basically, how do people get epilepsy? There are various causes. About a third of the time, you do not know what the cause is. But a third of the time, in our environment, structural issues. So you have an accident, you're not wearing a helmet, you fall down, you have an accident, you can post-stroke, you can have seizures. The commonest one for us is poor delays in delivery. So the obstetricians and pediatricians, we do a lot of work with them to try and reduce the time for delivery. What am I talking about? Somebody in the north or in the upper part of the body will take 3 days to go into labor, but the labor is obstructed. So by the time the baby comes out, the baby is asphyxiated, or not enough blood has gone to the baby's brain. So that brain is destroyed. So later on they present as seizures. Also post-malaria, cerebral malaria, post-meningitis, post-head trauma as well can lead to seizures. Sometimes people have a tumor, those are rare. A tumor or a growth in the brain, they can also have epilepsy too as well. Post-alcohol, drugs, cocaine, lots of other reasons. But sometimes it's idiopathic, we do not know, or there are some genetic causes of epilepsy, which we are looking at as well.
Okay, but sadly we've got a huge treatment gap as well.
Gap. So I'll put the treatment gap at 75% of people in this country do not have access to treatment. So that is sad. Why? Because of access to care. A lot of epilepsy is concentrated in areas which are hard to reach. Okay. People cannot afford treatment. There are not enough trained personnel. So I'll take for example, there are only 7 neurologists in the whole country. So
in the whole of Ghana, you're 7?
There were 7 active. So we technically cannot manage all the persons living with epilepsy. So we have the mental health authority, which are the psychiatrists, who also take part of the burden. But even they are not enough. We've even gone further to train what we call community psychiatric nurses who go into the community. That's one of the big projects we are doing called the Ghana Fight Against Epilepsy Initiative. So this initiative is to help to reduce the treatment gap and reduce the burden of epilepsy in Ghana. So we have 5 regions. We are going to scale all up to reduce the burden by going to the community, picking up the clients, educating them and offering them treatment. So that is one of the big initiatives that the Ghana Health Service and the Mental Health Authority is doing to reduce the treatment gap.
Okay. But is that working?
It is working, but it needs funds. So we hope more funds come to us. And this is part of the advocacy to improve funding for research in epilepsy. And I must tell you, it's cheap to treat one person with phenobarbital, which is the cheapest drug. It costs $5 a year. But sadly, a lot of people cannot afford that. So what we are trying to do, or what we are doing, is register people under the National Health Insurance Scheme. The law says that people living with epilepsy falls under the new category of people who they are sparing, but we still have to register them. They are the poorest of the poor in some of the places. So the LEAP programs and other programs have to register them on so they can have access to care. So it's working. We are talking to the National Health Insurance Scheme. We put almost all the 4 main drugs under the National Health Insurance Scheme. So they can be there, but the problem is access and availability.
Okay, but that has not taken effect yet.
That is I won't say it is in the pipeline.
Okay.
Some of it has been, you can get in the major centers, but still the problem is in the hard-to-reach areas. How do you make these drugs cheaply and readily available to them? So that is one big part of the problem. But
okay, before you move on, if you come to Korle Bu, I mean, are you covered by the NHIS?
You are covered by the NHIS. For your consultation is covered. The drugs you have to get outside of Korle Bu. The hospital still has not fully embraced in terms of drug terms, reimbursing for drugs in the National Health Insurance Scheme. It's also in the pipeline.
Okay. So you said that is not even the major problem.
The biggest problem for us is stigma. All right. So if I'm a person living with epilepsy in Ghana, if you walk in my shadow, you are considered that you can get epilepsy. If I say, excuse me, say I pass flatus now, and my flatus envelops you get seizures. If you touch the spittle that happens when I have a seizure, you get seizures. And the worst one is that when somebody is having a seizure, whether he's lying in fire or drowning, no one
wants to get close.
Because of the fear of being touched by that person or falling in the shadow. So we have a lot of epilepsy deaths which are avoidable because of this high stigma. And in Ghana, if you have epilepsy, when you are going to marry, the family history, you ask, is anybody having seizures in your family? No matter how beautiful you are, like you, Mabi, or myself, if one of us has seizures, that's it. Family does not agree. People with epilepsy cannot go to school. Teachers, parents are afraid. Even as in Korle Bu, there's a school within the Korle Bu area which is populated by nurses, doctors, pharmacists. The child had a seizure, and the parents asked that the child be withdrawn from the school because it would infect the other children. That's about how bad it is. People living with epilepsy the parents of people living with epilepsy hide their children. They do not want them to come out for fear of stigma, for fear of disgrace. I don't know what disgrace that they are looking at. People with epilepsy do not get employment. They are sacked. And immediately you get one seizure, they are sacked. So they leave to poor employment, poor marrying. They don't go to school. So what life do we want our parents, what life do we want our patients to have? So persons living with epilepsy have a right to live a normal life. That is why we are here today. That is what we are doing. And we've done a lot of advocacy since we started. We've had people coming to school. We challenge them because they say the medicines are not available and they think it's a curse. Or they are bored, they are paying for some crime that somebody committed. So medicine is a no-no. And in some parts of the country, if you have seizure and you fall into fire, it means that you cannot be cured. So they won't even bother to bring you to hospital in the first place. So there are lots of practices, lots of myths that we have to break. And I must say, people living with epilepsy are normal people. It's only during that time that you have the increased burst of electrical activity. That is the only time when
you can experience
that. In between that, you are fine.
Yeah.
So,
but is there a way you can even prevent getting the seizures in the first place?
Giving the seizures depends on what the causes are. But if you have seizures, if you have epilepsy, there are ways to prevent. So let me take our students in school, for instance. One, so when you come to my clinic, there are Dr. Palu's 7 commandments. 1, thou shalt not be hungry. So hunger precipitates the events. 2, thou shalt not be angry.
Okay.
When you're angry, you're upset, you shouldn't. So that's why the Bible turn the other cheek. So smile. So anger. You should have enough sleep.
Okay.
So
how many hours of sleep?
How many hours? That's debatable.
Because they say 8, but really?
Yeah, 6 to 7 hours of sleep.
Okay.
For an average adult, 6 to 7 hours. All right. Alcohol. Avoid alcohol. Avoid excessive use of video games. All of us are guilty on our phones, WhatsApping, playing video games, and earphones are bad because you are putting direct link to the electrical waves. The main thing is anger, enough sleep, and take your medicines regularly.
Okay.
So it's cost. We have people who buy for a month. You give them a prescription for a month. They can afford 1 week, so they buy 1 week medication and they split it. They are their own doctors. They do every 2 days. They take their medicine.
So it can last.
So that it can last. So we need to deal with those. We need to deal with the stigma. So the stigma, the traditional beliefs are too much.
How do we tackle that?
Education.
Okay.
Education.
But what kind of strategy should we use?
So this is one. TVs, we go to churches, we go to communities, we go to schools, we go to workplaces, and we have advocates. So we get the patient themselves being advocates. We get champions to go around and send that message. We get nowhere. So luckily we've got lots of families who are coming up, who are going in teams, going around and doing the education, and they are better educators than we ourselves because they are living examples. For example, a lot of parents bring their children to the clinic, challenge you. This one, what is going to do? Useless. I said, do not call any child of yours useless because she's having seizures.
You have a parent say that?
Yes. This one, I don't have anything to do. She can't give child bed. She can't. I said, okay, I'm challenging you. If you treat your daughter, she will go to school and she will have children. And we have lots of grandchildren. We have lots of grandchildren. I mean, for me, it's the most emotional.
Yeah.
I come to tears when they come bringing their babies. I'll show you pictures. They bring their babies, first babies, and they are elated because of just education, taking the right medication, and having the right support. So family support is key. Without family support in any disease, it is not there because the husband has to support the wife. You know, she's going to have seizures, he has to hold the baby. There are lots of things. Education. So let's take schools for instance. So this is where our health personnel come in. So some of the medicines for seizures make you feel sleepy. So you need to give it to them at night so that by morning they can go to school. Otherwise they'll be sleepy in school the whole day and they will not learn. So you say that people living with epilepsy they are not bright. I am telling you, a lot of our persons this year I go for graduations. We have doctors, lawyers, politicians, judges, all right. Everywhere we have persons living with epilepsy. Reverend ministers, bishops, pastors. So it's only people you are not allowed to have epilepsy if you are pilots. So there are certain high-risk jobs. So pilots, long distance driver, tipper truck drivers, those people are exempt. And of course, there are basic precautions you need to take. If you are a person living with epilepsy, you should be careful when you are cooking by yourself. Because if you are selling buffets, you have a seizure. We've had people whose hands have landed in the buffets and they've really fried up. So you need to be careful about that. That doesn't mean a person living with epilepsy cannot cook. She can cook, but she has to be careful with fire.
Okay.
Careful when she's swimming, he or she's swimming alone, for instance, because you have a risk of drowning. So those are the simple things we can do to make our lives, people with epilepsy. So when you ask the question, how many of you listening now will marry someone living with epilepsy? Let me see by hand. Unfortunately, I can't see anybody.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? So
it's a tough one, but I guess that if you get to understand it, then it'll be easier. It'll be easier. How many people would you say that you see in your clinic every day?
Averagely, it varies, but we have an average clinic attendance of 50 patients.
Okay.
So about 45 follow-ups and 5 new cases.
Is there a way that you can detect when a baby is born that they have the potential?
So when a baby is born, it depends on a lot of things. So what was the pregnancy like? What was the birth like? Was there any complications in the birth? Was there a delayed second stage? The second stage is when the baby is about to come. Did it take too long for the baby to come out? Did the baby cry soon after birth? Was the baby jaundiced after birth? Did the baby have a fever and have a convulsion? Did the baby fall down? So a lot of the mistakes or mishaps we have are we tend to put our babies behind our backs. Sometimes the clock falls down.
That's a mishap. Okay. If it falls, okay.
And then they hit their head. And then we're at home, we're at work, we don't know what's happening to our babies. So when we come back, let's ask our help. Did our baby fall down? But most of the time we do not get that history. When we do a scan of the head, we see a scar. It means that some damage or some injury has been done.
Okay.
So we have a test called an EEG. In short, it's called an electroencephalogram. So an electrical test of your brain waves. So I have a diagram here.
Okay.
So this is the brain. So this is how the test is done. So we have this little electrode which are put on, and it measures the electrical activity of your brain. So it tells us whether you have an increased spike in electrical activity or not. So that tells us that interictally or in between you can have seizures or you have the propensity to have seizures.
Okay.
And of course, the history is very important. What happens to the babies? So babies, it's very difficult to tell. Sometimes the babies we call it in tree or bubbling. So you have babies just jerking suddenly like that, or one side is jerking, or they are crying uncontrollably. So usually we see them late because the mothers suspect that last, as opposed to an adult who has an infection and starts jerking or biting the tongue. So biting of the tongue, urinary incontinence are very classical features of seizures.
Okay. So each year we observe the day.
Yes.
Have you been, is there any progress? For instance, is there something that you've seen happening each year that you say, oh, we're making some kind of progress?
Yes, we have lovely couples. 5 years ago, nobody would come out to say that I have epilepsy. One, because of the stigma. Two, the family will descend on you. No, don't associate on me. But we have excellent and committed couples now going around with their children, educating people on epilepsy. 5 years ago, there was no program to set up a national epilepsy care plan. Now we have a national epilepsy care plan. We just had a stakeholders meeting last month at Making Hotel to integrate epilepsy into the Ghana Health Service. We got all the big wigs to come at one place. At first, epilepsy was put on the banner. Epilepsy is a cursed disease. So, of course, we don't have any funds, but the goodwill, the shared goodwill and bravado, I'll say, of our patients who are our educators. I'm sure you meet Mr. and Mrs. Lab. They are some of the...
We met them last year, I think.
Here. So they are doing great work.
Okay. So, you know, to bring our conversation to a close, sadly. Really. Yes, sadly. How busy? You said you're 3 in Kolibo, yes. 3 neurologists. Yes. Okay. Why is it difficult to kind of get a lot of them?
Well, first, students don't like this study of neurology. They think it's very complex and abstract. I'm a very simple guy.
Yeah.
I like my life. So I think we encourage more people to join. We have a lot more people in the pipeline coming in. Hopefully, bring epilepsy out of the shadows, bring neurology, bring epilepsy, which is the most common neurological disorder we see, and make people have the passion to change people's lives.
Okay. Also, I wanted to find out from you just before we wrap up. What is the one thing that all of us should do? If the fact that I don't have somebody with epilepsy in my family, should I care about
yes, you should
this
care
disease?
So we didn't talk about first aid. Let me just wrap that in.
Okay.
If you see somebody having a seizure, 1, stay calm. 2, do not put anything into the person's mouth. So we have the tendency of putting spoons, have retrieved mobile phones and things from people's mouth. Do not attempt to put your fingers into. Everybody, you have your teeth clenched and try and open your jaw. You cannot open it. So leave the person. Clear the place. If I fall down here and I start jerking, all you need to do is to clear the chest and give me a free space. Allow the seizure to end. Usually 3 minutes, maximum 3 minutes, it's ended. So when it's ended, you turn the person on the recovery position on the left side with the hand under and loosen the, if I'm wearing a necktie, loosen my necktie, loosen my shirt, and allow me, I'll wake up. And you'll be a bit confused.
You definitely wake up?
Definitely wake
because
up.
I think the reason people kind of put so the person doesn't die in the process.
You can't swallow your tongue. The tongue is fixed to the base. You cannot swallow your tongue. So please do not put spoon, mobile phone, food pestle or anything into anybody. What you are doing is dislocating the teeth and then you aspirate it. So clear the space, let the place be clear. The person will finish having a seizure. You get that he may have soiled himself, you just make him comfortable and lead him away. Now, if the seizures are continuous and not recovery after the 3-5 minutes, then you call an ambulance or you call 911, which is our taxi, or the National Ambulance Service to bring the person to a healthcare facility where the necessary secondary aid will be given.
How often do you find an ambulance bringing a patient?
Oh, there's change.
Because that's also one of the biggest. But if you don't have an ambulance, how do you carry the person into any kind of vehicle?
What do people do? They carry you by the arms and legs. No, you have to hold. So 2 people have to hold the person. The next giving hand, support the head, support the middle, support the leg, and put him in total means in one piece into the taxi, or recline the seats for them to come.
Okay, there's a possibility they will still be shaking.
You still be shaking. So don't restrain the person. If you restrain the person, you can fracture dislocate their muscles. So just leave them alone. Remove the foam. If they have a denture, take it off. Just loosen the place around him and then it should be fine.
Wow.
No palm oil, no. You can pray alongside as you are going.
But don't take the person to the church. For the person.
You can pray and bring the person, but pray alongside bringing the person, then we are fine.
Okay. Is your job exciting?
Very exciting. So you must love what you are doing. So for me, it's one of the most exciting things. And we have a personal relationship with our patients because we need to understand, we need to know their family life. So all the young ladies who come to see me, the first question I ask, yes, when are you getting married? Then they bring their boyfriends to me. So I remember there was one on a light note. So I said, you have to get married and do it the proper way. So at 12 midnight, I had a call. So my wife said, who's calling me at 12 midnight? So I said, who? He said, Grace, this is Grace, one of your EC patients. EC is epilepsy clinic. I said, yes, what's the matter? He said, you said I should call you before I do anything. I said give the phone to the gentleman. So I said, young man, I did that knocking. He said, I didn't agree. I said, get out of the room. So she comes to clinic on Monday, very upset with me. I said, what happened? He left. I said, yes, he wasn't the right person for you. So you wait the last. So you can get down into that personal level of patients. So it's very exciting for us to see them come out of the shadows, come out of oblivion and flourish. I have them, medical students, lawyers, doctors, they come and we have a blood. So we want more education, more putting epilepsy into the picture. We need champions. One of our champions is former president. Before we have assigned patients to boost up their mood across the divide. So I guess a warning to our patients who stop taking their medicines to continue taking your medicine. But when you stop, the rebound is even worse.
Okay.
All right. I advise them or everybody. I don't want to call names, but there are some people who don't take their medicines. And I see them on TV and I know that
Really?
Taking their medicine.
Okay, now you have to begin to mention
I
names.
know, I'm
But thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
It's been a
hosting
pleasure.
us.
So you see one case. You are going to medical school today. You crack one case and talk to a patient living with epilepsy.
Okay.
And then we'll take it up from there.
All right.
So
Thank you for
my
this opportunity. I haven't experienced this anywhere else. So we have it's a long day here at Kolebu. But to you, Roland, this will be it. Thank you for joining us here at Kolebu, and thank you, Dr. Albert Akpalu, for all the insights. You're still watching the AM show. Stay with us, definitely.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you very much, Mama Bio Sobwaje, and great interview there you had with Dr. Albert Akpalu. It was important for us to know many of the issues and, relatedly, the way treatment goes for those who have the abnormality or the problems with epilepsy, and just for the listenership in itself and getting to know what the information is, and the knowledge sharing is important to many families out there who tend to have a lot more of their members plagued with the predicament as to know what you need to do and where you need to get the best of treatment. But please, we have to talk entertainment, and Becky's around for us to do so. She'll be here up next.